So thank you for joining us for our Grid 3 Lunch and Learn. I'm here with somebody in person and I'm recording this, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so this is me. This is me on Instagram, on YouTube, and we have an SLP blog, which you might want to know about, Natalie, because there's a iPad troubleshooting page there. So I don't know if you've seen that. And then we also have an events page. So people often ask if I'm doing stuff for the Pro D Day and things like that. And that's where I would usually put the sign up information for that. Yeah. And so this is me on the social medias. I have things highlighted in Instagram, and then I've made playlists in YouTube so you can follow the thing that you want to follow. I always like to include a reminder for everybody to back up their devices, because I had another team whose iPad went down and they hadn't backed up. And so it's a thing that happens all the time. I'm at Handsworth right now, and they've actually assigned one EA to take care of it. And she's actually been emailing me. I'm not here on the same days as her, but she does email me and let me know, just so you know, I backed everything up. And I'm like, okay, thank you. So yeah, that's happening here. And just fun fact, Grid 3, which we're talking about today, does not need to be backed up because of the way that it syncs between devices, sort of. Okay, we are also doing 2 more sessions in this series. We've already done the New Voice one, which if you're doing LAMP VI, or LAMP, Words for Life, there's instructions there. And then we're doing another one for Chat Editor, which is for Touch Chat. Each of these softwares is from a different company, so there's different emulation software for each one. So these will all eventually be on YouTube, but the one on Chat Editor is coming up on January 29th. Okay, so today we're talking about what is Grid 3, how to download Grid 3, and how to set up Grid 3, but then also thinking about some like visual academic supports that we can use like outside of the device. Okay, so what is Grid 3? So Grid 3, most of my students that are using Grid 3 need non-direct access. So these are not the kids who are, necessarily touching the screen for access. We have students using Switch Access who are using eye gaze that are using Grid 3. And it's really, really good for that. There's alternative access, sorry, not alternative access. There's like assistive technology supports as well as communication supports, which is why it ends up being a good fit for those clients. And so we have, things that can help us browse YouTube or academic things and that kind of stuff. We can also use it to access software like Clicker, or even to use our computer as a computer as well, which will be cool. But we're not quite there with most of my students yet, but it is a possibility. And so it supports Grid 3, but it also supports Grid for iPad. Now, most of my students have both, and we're able to sync the two, but you could hypothetically just have one or the other. And so why do you need it on your computer? It'll enable you to edit your students' user area, which is what we call like their file. You can edit their user area remotely without using their personal device, but also you can get the symbols off of Grid 3 so that you can like print them, which is also a possibility. Okay, so how do you get Grid 3? This will vary depending on whether you are a North Van school district employee or if you are a like an external person. Okay, so if you are in the district, have you already downloaded it? No? Okay,
No,
so you will need these instructions.
Yes.
So when you go into your computer, see how like step 1, in the bottom left of your computer, you should see that little magnifying glass, and you click that and you search for Software Center. And in our district, you can only download software if it's like approved by the administrator, right? And then so if you want to download something, you have to like get them to come in and put in the password. It's really annoying, but like secure. But they also have the Software Center, and you can download anything you want from the Software Center onto like any computer essentially. So you just like log into Software Center, and in this case, you search for Grid and you select Grid, and then you can download it onto your district computer. And you can download it onto like yours, but also like I know you have like a bank of computers. And so if you wanted like an EA to have access to it as well, you could do it on those computers. I don't know how old or new those ones are. So there might be that sort of it's not up to date enough or something like that, but that's a separate issue. Then you can, I think you could email ICT and say like, it won't run, help, you know, but at least this way you can get it on your own computer. Now, just so you know, there's some troubleshooting that needs to happen. You need to be on your district laptop, on district Wi-Fi, and then if it doesn't work, try restarting your computer and searching it again that way. And then everybody that I've had to troubleshoot through this process, this has worked. Yeah. And then if that's not working, contact ICT because they need to know that that's not working. You can also look through the Software Center for other things like a PDF editor or like math things or whatever. Like it's all stuff that's gone through the privacy, what is it called? Privacy impact assessment. And they've decided that this is safe for the district to use. And so if you're missing something on your computer, like that's totally a legit way to get it without going through admin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I also downloaded like video editing software at one point.
Okay.
Not for like kids, but for like, it's more like stuff for us to use. Yeah. Yeah. And then if you're not a district person, then you can just download it off of the Smartbox site. Now, Smartbox wants you to pay for their software. So if you are supporting a North Van student and you are like a teacher or something, I can try to connect you with a distributor to get you like a license for it. But then like you can also just download it and use it for 30 or 90 or whatever days. I can't remember how long their trial is, but you can also do like just a trial to let people like poke around, which might be kind of cool for like a pro D date or something too, right? Just to let people play with it a little bit. Okay, and then there's a little bit of like setup that needs to happen, which is for most of the students, I have set them up already. You just have to set yourself up, if that makes sense. So I'm going to show you grid 3 right now. So what you need to do is you need to go, this is like me, I open up grid 3 as myself, right? And then it's going to give me, let's go into settings just so I can show you. And then so this is me, I'm logging in as Reiko, okay? So then when I go into, hold on, let me see. What did I say? Menu, settings, accounts. Okay, so I go into menu. All right, I should also show you this. This is called the hamburger. And so when you go into the hamburger, there's a bunch of things that we can do. We're going to go into the settings first and talk about that. And then we're going to go, what did I say? Menu, settings, accounts. There we go. So this, you have to set up these things, essentially. Not all of them, actually. You have to have a Smartbox account for yourself and then this Dropbox account. And then you can invite remote editors. As a remote editor, all you need to do is have a Smartbox account. You don't have to have a Dropbox account, just so you know. So you download the software and then log in as your district email address. And then I go into, or you go into the student's device and then add you as a remote editor. Okay, I can't, you know what, I can show you, but then I'll cut it out because I think I show like kids' faces in here. But then, so what I do is as a remote editor is I open up the software and then I go into here. And then when I open up remote editing, it'll show me, hold on, I have to log in. So it shows me all of my students' user areas, and I can actually just go in and edit them. Yeah, and so it's really easy to get in there and remote edit. This is a QR code, and that'll take you to like more information on remote editing, but it's really easy once it's set up. Okay, so then how do I add activities? Which one of the things that we talked about today for T was getting that like launcher, right? And so one thing you can do is like use an actual USB stick or use go log in through browsers to your OneDrive or whatever and download it from one device and like literally take it to the other. But Smartbox also has a whole bunch of things available, and you just need to go into here and you go add grid sets, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's already loaded up in here, but then they have this online community that shares files. So you can go into online grids. You do have to give it a second. What I've learned is that if you wait for this to populate, then you'll get more hits. Then I know that there's a second row. So now if I search, I'll get more hits than if I kind of jump in. Sometimes it'll tell me there isn't anything. So somebody was asking about YouTube today. So you can actually search for YouTube. And this the Wi-Fi in this room is atrocious. So I know that, I think it's this one. So often what you can do is scroll down, and below you'll have like a different format as well. So there's a YouTube one, and then there's a large cell YouTube. And I think that that would be a better fit for our students. So I'm going to press this one, and then you just hit add, and it'll download and stuff. I'm not going to do it because I feel like that'll just take a long time in this room. So that's one way to do it. You can actually also search by person. So I have my account as Reiko AAC SLP, and you can search. And so I have the games that I've made for the students I work with uploaded to here. And then like the yellow ones are for switch access, and the purple and blue ones are for eye gaze. Purple is for smaller cells, blue is for larger cells. You can also search for SetBC, and they also have a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it takes a minute, but it comes up. So you can take a look at these, and you just sort of like pick one. Next, it'll show you sort of the qualities of it. And if you're looking for something with switch access, you can look to see if it supports switches. Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty easy to do that. And then so as long as you're remote editing your students' user area, like if I do it right now, because I'm logged in as Reiko, it'll just show up on mine, which is actually fine because I can do that and look at things before I actually upload them to my student's device, right? Rather than like downloading a bunch of stuff to their device. Yeah. But then as long as I'm remote editing their stuff, then it'll just go straight onto there. Talked about, don't remember. Okay, so the other thing we can do is make sort of like external learning supports, like whether it's a visual schedule, or this book is about Squish for one of my students, and I like literally copied this Squish icon into there. And I just did that on PowerPoint. Some people try to do this kind of thing with Word, but I find that like you plop a picture in and then everything moves around. And so I prefer PowerPoint for everything. You can also do things like this where you put like the symbol for go on a little door hanger and then put it on the door. You might be teaching locations, like place names, and then you can put these like signs on the door that pair up with what's in the talker. You can make like a finished bin. You could talk about a big, small sort of sorting game. Like there's lots of things you can do if you take the symbol out of the device, right? So, oh, and then you can also put it on a visual schedule. So the thing we need to figure out is which symbols the student is using in their, like in the communication part of their grid. So some of them are using, if you look at the want symbol, you can tell what it is. So this is the want symbol that I think our friends here are using. And these symbols are called picture communication symbols, or PCS, and they're actually exactly the same as what's in Boardmaker. So the easiest way for those students is to just use Boardmaker, actually. Some of the students are using this, which is symbol sticks. This, again, is a symbol for want. And then if you're using that, you can follow along, or use Chat Editor is the other option for this symbol set, which we're, like I said, doing another Lunch and Learn on. And then these symbols here, which are also really common in Grid, are called widget symbols. And then so if you're using these symbols, and I think there's parts of T's device that use widget symbols actually, then you can do this as well. So do you know about the snipping tool? Okay, so you know how you can take a screenshot on your phone? Yeah. You can do that with the snipping tool. So we're going to do the same thing again, where we go to that like bottom left of your computer, yeah, and you use that like magnifying glass and you search for snipping tool. This is the icon that it uses. And so let me just demonstrate it here. So we have Grid Explorer open. So we're going to go down here. We're going to look for a snipping tool, right? It comes up. You click that open. And so let's go back. I think I just accidentally closed Grid. So let's just demonstrate it here. You can choose to either rectangular snip, or like full screen, or just the window, or whatever you want. But we're just going to do a rectangular snip here. And then hypothetically, you open the software you're trying to snip, right? And then you open the snipping tool. You would just like click it down here, actually. Select new, and then you can actually just like click whatever you want. And then see how it does that. And then you can like copy and then paste it somewhere else. Like, so paste it into PowerPoint or paste it into Word or whatever it is you want to do. So you can do that with anything though. Like if somebody emails you a photo and for some reason you can't save it as a photo, you can just like screenshot it like this. And then you have it saved. Just the way that grid is laid out, like if we go into like the vocabulary pages, if I hit like want and I want to take this symbol, I could use the snipping tool to then snip this, right? Hypothetically, I could do that, or I could use the snipping tool to snip this, right? But just so you know, if I do this and I let's say I plunk this into PowerPoint and it's only this big, if I try to make it bigger, it's going to come out blurry. So if you want to do something like that, sort of like the easiest way to do it is to add a new grid set, create a blank one, and then I'm going to call this delete so that I know that I can delete it later. And then go in here. We're going to edit grid. And what we could do is like, where is it? I can like actually delete all of these and make delete columns. Oops. And then delete these rows. And then now I have just a single one, right? Sometimes it's so simple. I forgot to click the cell. That's why it's not working. Okay. And then so we're going to change the label of the cell. And we're going to call it Fox. I was looking for a fox picture the other day. And then you can do that. And then you can take the snipping tool and snip it. And now it's bigger. Right? So that's the other way you can do it. But yeah, it's pretty simple to do. I think that this is like a secondary thing, right? But I think that knowing how to add activities to it is actually the more important part. But just so you know, you can also do this. And now you have a snipping tool to use. Yeah. Do you have any other questions about grid? It's actually quite easy to like, if you're like, I think that we want to make a book for the student and it needs to have like a big picture, like we were talking about with our student today. It needs to have a big picture and then like a next button. Like it's really easy to do that in grid. And so, and then if you like wanted to make the background, I know that that particular student, we made the background yellow. And so under style, you just like fill light yellow. I think it was a lighter yellow, right?
Bright yellow.
Was it bright yellow? There you go. And then maybe we want to take the border off so that it doesn't compete. And then maybe you want to take the background. Do you see background grid? Yeah. There we go, background. And then we want to make the background black. And so it's fairly intuitive to do that kind of thing. And then we are finished editing. Yeah. Oh, one more thing. If you want it to talk, if you want it to talk, you need to give it, you need to add a command. And speak. There you go. I don't know if mine speaks. No, it doesn't speak. That's just my software not speaking.
Right.
But on a student's, it would. Yeah. Yeah. So like, if you, I'm going to upload this video so that if you need to like reference things as you're setting things up, it's there. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
Very.
And then you can also send this to like the other
the
team as well.
That'll be good practice.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Even if they can't get their own, like just that part of like how to get your own, sorry, how to like look for activities and download them and that part of stuff. Like the EAs are often with the student with their communication devices. And so it's like, for them, I would just do it on the student's device.
Yes.
And then just the way that those devices are set up, they automatically back up to those things that we're logged into, like the Smartbox website and stuff like that. So that's a little bit easier than some other AAC systems where we have to like manually back up. Yeah. Yeah. And then also the cool thing is like if you add a word even to the student's device, it should just like show up on the other device as long as both of them are logged into the internet. I find that when that's not working, it's mostly because the internet isn't working.
That's good to know.
Yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you too.
Yeah, that was helpful. Yeah, just to
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cameras
Bye-bye.
over here. Bye bye.